my inner knowing, empowering you to find your compass for the journey. We are dedicated to supporting you to rediscover and trust your natural ability to navigate life each day by sharing insight and experience through the lens of two professional communicators and their guests. We intend to prompt internal inquiry that supports all those willing to explore a unique path.
Well, hello.
Oh, hello.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm in my happy place.
You are.
I am.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you see?
All my favorite things. You know, the stuff that if there was a fire, you would run in and get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That means your whole house? Everything here?
No, not everything. Like the big TV, meaningless.
Yeah. What do you think that's in this room that you would want to take with you if you could choose? Oh, I don't know. 3 things, 5 things, maybe 5 things.
Well, it would be the carved bull
Aw.
that
Yay.
you got me from the McEnany wood carving on the Oregon coast.
Steel Rock, Oregon. That's right.
Amazing artist.
Yes, he is.
I still want that $16,000 octopus table, but
Right.
unless the lottery comes, it's never going to happen.
Yeah. Oh.
Libby's painting of the waves.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it's so beautiful.
Yeah. There's a lot of things that I like here.
I
a lot.
know. I know. That's why I upped it to 5.
Well, there's all the hand-picked, artwork, but that's replaceable. They're just prints, but things that spoke to me that are quirky and that make me smile when I walk by.
Yeah.
I would probably take some of the Tarzan books that were my dad's when he was a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What does the bowl remind you of? What about it speaks to you?
Freedom.
Yes.
And my spirit. My oldest sister has called me Ferdinand for years. I think it's a pretty good description of me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I'm this big guy and I can get unruly and bullish at times, but I've got a really kind spirit.
Yeah.
So I like to sit and look at the flowers. Mm-hmm. Yeah, which is we've talked about it before, but so bizarre that I'm a trial lawyer. But I can come to this place.
Yes.
And have the bull there to remind me. Mm-hmm. And I actually have the Ferdinand book. It's actually in the background.
Yes, it is. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
So thinking about, for you, in creating this space, what about having things around you that, I don't know, symbolize something or remind you of something that's helpful to you? Like, in and of itself, that object brings you support? Like, how would you describe what those are for you? What words would you use?
Grounding.
Grounding. Okay, tell me.
Peace.
Peace. Mm-hmm.
When I come to this place, this is my home.
Yeah.
And it's the first place that I chose all by myself, right? I mean, Libby was involved, but
Yeah.
And as you know, just everything about it. It's the house as well as the things, but I think when I get lost in the world and I come into this space or space in Missouri, I mean, wherever, if it's my space and I have a few things like that, because I have a few things. There's the print that your son bought me.
Oh, yeah.
Of the giant redwood grove with, indigenous people that had, this is back in the 1800s before the ancient forests had been wiped out for logging. And I love that. They're living inside of a redwood tree. And so they have a teepee set up outside and they've got a campfire, et cetera, but they're also by one of those redwood trees that you could drive a truck through, right? Mm-hmm. That's still living. Yeah. And it's walking by that's in my law office. Mm-hmm. And walking by that or standing, and looking at the bull or at Libby's wave painting reminds me of who I really am when I'm lost in the chaos of different masks I wear.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. What's it like for you when you're around the things that you love? And I shouldn't say things that you love.
Right.
I would be okay if all of it burned up and went away. I mean, I would think about it, but I would find something else that spoke to me. Right?
Sure.
And so I really enjoy them, and they're really good tools to ground me and bring me peace.
Sure.
Where I could just let all that stuff go.
Yeah. I would say for me, I grew up Catholic, and there's a lot of symbols in, I would guess, most religions, but for sure Catholicism, that reminded us of things. Probably plenty we didn't even know what they were, but what the message behind them was. But I think for me, there was, and I would say a groundedness as well. What I feel like I first collected that were grounding for me was actually songs.
Sure.
That, I was very aware for myself that there was a song called On Eagle's Wings and Here I Am, Lord, that were like, I just felt them in my body so powerfully. And I mean, I would just sing them and sing them and sing them and sing them. And then there's a song called You'll Never Walk Alone, which was another one that really spoke to me. So I think those songs were what I had initially, that when I was struggling, I would sing to remind me that I would be okay. And then as I grew up.
When was that, babe?
When I became first aware of it was probably, as best I remember, 10, 11, 12, 13, somewhere around there. It may have been younger than that, but I don't, but if it was, I don't remember it like I remember it from around that time and then going forward. And then, I got married and that wasn't there so much, not the songs. And because I'm aware that I really stepped into a role when I got married, I think I just collected things, like whatever to fill that space. I should have
tell
things.
us like what?
Oh gosh, back in the, let's see, when did I get married? Okay, so early 90s, like country things, like ducks is what I remember. I don't.
There are things I'm discovering about you all the time.
I know, but what's funny is, but ducks don't mean anything to me.
Well, it's probably part of what we're talking about.
Right. There
was just a collection.
It was just right. It didn't mean anything. I remember, like I had this like a duck that like sat on the corner of a door sill and it was kind of like leaning down, like they were cute.
Cute.
They were just cute. Right.
Did you have like ducks everywhere?
I think I had a lot of ducks on things. I do think that, but I don't,
That is fascinating.
I know, because you're like, I've never seen a duck anywhere in any of your stuff. Right?
I don't know. I'll
Because
have to take a closer look. So funny.
I don't think there is. And what I believe is, going back, and I did write the blog post about, that the cup.
Yes.
When I went on that first, what I would call mini retreat, where I was first became aware of that I saw myself as broken. I believe that that's the first time that I really looked at something as a reminder to me of something that I thought was important for me to be clear about. Because I would say that I was so in my coping survival place, regardless of how it may have appeared to people on the outside, because that try harder, work harder thing has always been there. And I wasn't doing very well. And I feel like I can look back and think that I could be, while helpful and kind, also full of myself. And for me, it was a reminder that I wanted to really be okay. I didn't want to just pretend to be okay. So I feel like that was the beginning. And I don't know what I would say in regards to where I am now, percentage-wise, like of the things in my house that are there for a purpose, that I bought with a specific intention in mind, but I think it's pretty high. When I create something, what are you laughing about?
I'm sorry. Don't let me get out of your process.
No, it's okay. I won't get out of my process.
I was thinking about the little Elvis figurine that's hanging from the handle in the kitchen. Like that?
That is so funny. It is there intentionally.
Oh,
right?
I know, but it's not you.
It's not me. No. That's totally for Xander. Totally right. And I don't even know that Xander would know that I leave it there for them, but I do leave it there for them. But I know that when people come into my house, I get a lot of feedback on how it feels there. Even little kids at Halloween, they're just like, oh my gosh, I love your house. And it's not anything other than I believe it feels different. I don't know that it is. I mean, maybe the dragons, but they're talking about the inside, not the outside. I like dragons in my yard and on my house for Halloween. And so, yeah, for me, it's been a process. I mean, as we're talking about it, I'm thinking about how the things process has really helped me with the non-attachment piece. Like there are things that it would be sad for me to lose the tree over the fireplace. It would be sad for me to lose the tree that Chris gave me for Christmas, right? It would be, there are things that would be sad for me to lose. But even when that tree died in the backyard after I moved in a few years ago, And, I got the bid to have it cut down, and I was like, ooh, that's a lot. And then I had an idea about having someone come carve it into something, and found a guy that did it. And he, to take the tree down and to carve this 7-foot sculpture out of the tree trunk was not going to cost me that much more than just having someone come take it away, the whole tree away. And so for me, it was a very intentional decision about creating something that reminds me of something that helps me stay in myself, right? That helps me stay grounded.
And what did you have him carve?
And so I had him. I mean, it really is exquisite. It is. It's a 7-foot hummingbird, and I'll post some pictures of it along with the painting by Libby and the bowl on our Instagram page and Facebook, so people can see it, because they are really, truly beautiful pieces. But that, for me, wanting things to have intention. And it's been a lovely thing for everybody that walks by the house too, because people are just like, man, I love that. It's so beautiful.
It's amazing.
It is.
Yeah. And what'd you say it was again?
A hummingbird.
Oh, thank you.
Walker calls me hummingbird. That's why he wants me to say it a few times.
Busted.
But I remember, I'm thinking about, it's really funny because I like jewelry, but I don't really wear jewelry. And if I wear something, I like wear it and I don't take it off. But I have some, pretty things I've gathered the last 30 years.
Sure.
But I don't wear them often. But I remember when I was in Ashland, North Carolina for a neurofeedback training long time ago, there was this Herkimer diamond, which is not a diamond. It's like a clear quartz. I think they call it double terminated quartz. So it has a point on both ends. Mm-hmm. I think that's what makes it a Herkimer diamond. And I was just wandering through these stores, on a break, and like on the bottom shelf in the back corner was this necklace. And and I was like, what's that doing hiding back there in the bottom shelf back in the corner? And I bought it. And while it wasn't expensive, it was expensive for me to buy something, but it just kept and I didn't buy it when I saw it. I actually went back and bought it because I was working on that part of myself, right? Like, what about that speaks to me? What is it, about it? How does it make you feel? Like, really trying to get clear. And it's funny because I think that's how it was with the tree above the fireplace, which I'll come back to too. I went and I got it and I loved it and I wore it a lot and I still love it. I don't wear it as often. I tend to wear it on special events now, but that's like the intention that I put, behind that particular piece. And I had worn it. This was several years ago. I had worn it and I had taken it off and I didn't know where I put it. And I always put it in the same place. But then I was like, did I not put it there? But it wasn't there. Mm. And I thought, did I throw it away? Did I have it in my car? Did I throw it away with some trash? And I was very aware that there was a lot of anxiety that came up around not knowing where it was. Mm-hmm. And really trying to work on what was it that I was struggling with around my anxiety about not knowing where it was. I mean, I did love it and it is beautiful, but what was all that fear about? And so using it as an opportunity for me to really work on trying to understand what was all the emotion that I was feeling. And I did work on it, for a few weeks, really trying to understand like the attachment to things and the amount of money that I spent on it What did that mean to me, about me, by losing it? I mean, was I irresponsible? Was I selfish? Was I whatever? And what was so crazy was that a few weeks later, I walked by where I always would put it, and it was there. And I was like, are there fairies? Because that has not been there, right? Like literally, it was exactly where I would leave it. But it hadn't been there for weeks, and then it was there. And of course, I'm asking, and husband, children, they're like, we don't even know what you're talking about.
Right. Herkle what?
Right. And so that was a really interesting experience for me, just getting to practice, my non-attachment to things.
Sure.
And that even things that I value and appreciate. And it was because I'm going now to the value piece of things, right? But the trees above the fireplace, when Luke and I were on that high adventure down in Summerlin Key, this was a really interesting story. We were out one day, we had like a free day, and I think they took us to Key West. That's what I remember. And there was another mom on the trip that I was, walking around with, and all the boys were out doing whatever. And Luke came up to me and was like, I need to show you this thing. I need to show you this thing. It's so cool. And I was like, okay. Well, when we get done, we'll meet you over there. And she and I kept, walking around, and we go into this store, and I see this tree sculpture. I don't know what to call it other than that, but like a sculpture. And I just literally could not take my eyes off of it. And the mom that was with me, she was like, what do you like about it so much? And I was like, I don't know, actually. There's just something about that tree that is just like, I'm mesmerized by it. And there was no way I was going to buy it. No way. Until Luke comes in the store, and I'm like, hey, Luke, I found this thing. And I showed it to him, and he's like, Mom, that's what I was going to show you. And then I was like, well, now I have to buy it. But then I still couldn't buy it, right? Because even though he had said that, I was like, you don't need that. That's not something to spend money on. Going through all the stories that I had reinforced to me about spending and things and not working hard enough or needing to work harder. And it was really very helpful. But the mom that was with me, she was like, this is what I know. This was really interesting. She said, if you buy that, you are not going to regret buying it. But I know that if you don't buy it, you're going to regret not having bought it. And I was like, damn it. And she was right.
You're not a big purchase.
No, I am not.
Person.
I am not a big purchase person.
In some areas related to business, absolutely, but not personal things.
Yeah. I don't. It's just not, what I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This was a big purchase.
This was a big purchase. Yeah. It was. But there was a growing, piece of me that was like, pay attention to what speaks to you.
Sure.
Pay attention to what continues to catch your attention. And that's what I knew about, both those pieces was that they were speaking to me. And they are things that I still do very much value. And so that really broadened out into a lot of, different areas of my life. And I know when you and I started this, before we started the conversation today, we were talking about these bowls that I bought when we went to Spain.
I'm sorry. We got a long way from Spanish bowls before we started. It's like,
but it was, similar, in that they just caught my attention. And they're just these little bitty bowls, right? That, they're like hardly big enough for a scoop of ice cream. I mean, they're not big, but they weren't expensive, and we found them there. And we weren't going to ship them back. And so, so I was going through this process of how do I get them back? And is it going to be too much luggage, blah, blah, blah. And I bought them and I don't regret, that either.
Yeah. Tell me more.
Well, they remind me of that time, with you. They reminded me of that place that we were in, reminding me of that, the appreciation for seeing the world through other people's eyes. Because that's a big piece for me at this point in my life. If I'm buying something, I really want it to be reflective of how that person sees whatever, right? And so the bowls were that for me. It was another way of seeing the world through somebody else's eyes. And for me, it felt there's like a groundedness piece that's connected to feeling connected to the creator of that piece.
Of the piece.
Right.
Sure.
Even if I don't know them, right? But it's this kind of connection to just more humanity, right?
Yeah.
It's, that saying that I have compassion is the complete acceptance of another's humanness without knowing their story. It's like, I don't need to know that person's story, but I can know them. And I say that in quotes, like figuratively through what they've created.
Sure.
And
Some
so,
part of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
That they brought into the world.
Yeah. And so for me, it's like I have all those people in my home, right?
Oh, yeah. Fascinating.
Yeah.
I didn't know there was a crowd watching us.
Well, no more walking around in your underwear.
No kidding. Now I'll be running.
But
like when I sneak into the laundry room when I think your son isn't around and out he comes, I'm like
hello.
Anyway, go ahead.
Anyway.
So all these people are in your home.
Yeah.
That you've come across in different areas of life. It's a really cool thought.
Thank you.
Guardians.
Yeah. Yeah. Sharing, the world together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really sweet.
Yeah. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, there's just so many things. I think about the elephant that's at the front door that holds the platter out, right? That holds crystals. And it says, this is a gift for you, right?
Yeah,
and
we came up with that together.
Yeah, when we were
sweet.
Yeah, we found him in Oregon. Not at the wood carving shop, but just down the road.
Oh, that's right. I didn't remember that we'd gotten him there. Fascinating. Yeah. So he stands on his back legs and he's holding a tray.
Right. That's filled with crystals.
That we put awesome crystals in.
Yeah.
For guests to just pick their own.
Yes. Yeah.
It's such a nice welcome to the home.
It is. So just for me, thinking about, what do we surround ourselves with? We hear sayings from people, just about the people that you spend time with, right?
Yeah.
Influence you. And I think the stuff does too. I like walking into my home and seeing, those things. And like nothing in my living room matches, like it's all just whatever.
Sure. But you somehow managed to pull all that together.
Yeah. Pillows.
And it's lovely. Yeah, it's amazing what a pillow can do.
It's amazing what a pillow can do.
And it's so funny because it's a piece that you wouldn't care less about, really. I mean, you pick cute, they're beautiful, but so what? It's just another pillow.
Right.
But it does pull everything together.
It does. Yeah.
It's like, I guess it's like, glue. Or mortar.
Yeah.
Mortar.
Yeah. Yes. Thanks, Faith.
Fascinating.
Yeah. So I think our space, being intentional with our space too, is really important. The things we surround ourselves with, I think in our culture, it's really easy to be inundated with things. It's easy to buy more things. And that's something I feel like I've have always worked on getting, giving stuff away. I feel like I'm always in that process of taking things to the thrift store. Like that is clothes in my closet. Is that something I'm really going to wear or just something I hope someday I'll wear?
Sure.
I remember this one dress. I think I had it for like 15 years, still had tags on it. And I gave it away, I think like a year or two ago. And I was just like, okay. The reality is if you could fit into that again, you wouldn't even wear it because it doesn't speak to you anymore. And so, but I think for so many years, I was holding on to it as a way to measure really and what I would say reinforcing kind of a failure of what I didn't achieve, right?
Sorry, sweet.
Yeah, it's more work.
Yeah.
Just more work to do. And so the work is in our stuff too, which is really what we're talking about today. Whether it's stuff we're holding on to that's not helpful, or whether it's stuff that really is supportive of us and, what we're hopeful for and our groundedness or our joy. I have this one picture of my two oldest. Oh my gosh, so adorable that I had blown up. You know which one I'm talking about?
I think so.
So it was in Colorado, up on this place called White Ranch, and they were on top of a boulder. And it was so funny because it so was their personalities, and Cameron's like throwing the snowball and Chris is just like, this is great. And
Yeah.
I just love those reminders of, again, people and, their essence and creativity and place in the world and those times of joy. And the pictures I hung up last year, some trips we've taken with the kids that were just so lovely.
Yeah.
The encounter we had with the wolves in North Georgia, which was so beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And so just really intentional about creating the space around us that supports our intention now. So I think I started going here, but I don't think I finished going here, which was also not just the thrift store, but gifting to other people. Like if somebody sees something of mine and they're drawn to it.
Yes.
That for me, if I then have an awareness that is no longer something that is giving me the message, or I don't need that message, I learn the message, then I gift that to that person. And so there is this process of releasing also, which doesn't speak to me anymore. And not in a bad way, just like whatever, again, brought that into my life, message received.
Mm-hmm.
So, So what are you thinking as
It's a lovely thing to do. And I was thinking about myself that frankly, just, I like the fancy crystals, and what I like to do at our retreats is I'll put some of my favorites around that really cool candle you have of people holding with arms around each other's waist that goes in a circle, which is awesome. One of those things.
Yeah.
But in any event, if somebody is admiring one, I'll check in and even if I really love it, I'll give it to them.
Yeah.
And it's hard for people to take that.
Yeah.
But it's a really good exercise for me.
Yeah. Tell us more about that.
Well, I mean, that I've had lots of exercises since I got divorced in non-attachment to things. It doesn't mean I still don't have attachment or, that sort of thing, but it's a good reminder just to practice. And I like to make people feel good, that I care enough to give you something that I really like. I like it sitting on my desk in my office or on the shelf in the office where I can see it.
Yeah.
But in any event, just one small thing. That's it.
What do you feel like those things provide you? I mean, I know you said groundedness, but can you share more about what having the environment does for you beyond liking it? Like, how does it support you? Can you tell us more about that?
Well, it is grounding. I think certain things have an energy to them, crystals, in that instance. But other things as well. It's no different than, the energy in the Herkimer diamond necklace. I mean, there's a reason you were getting the message when you found it hidden where it was, I believe, and also when it disappeared and then reappeared. And so it gives me, what it really does. I mean, I think that we can glean from the energy of things, but also they help us set intention if you wish to use them that way.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So it can set a whole space of intention. It's why I bring the crystals, the stones to our retreats when we're sitting in the big circle and we create the space in the middle. It isn't just so it's just pretty things for everybody to look at.
Yeah.
They have meaning to me and I think have an energy about them. But regardless, just having that visual sets the space for everybody. Yeah, I think that's it. But it's also because I put a lot of intention around it. There's a carnelian egg that you gave me. That sits on my desk. Yeah. And the specific intention of that is grounding and peace.
Yes.
But because it's there in my presence and I have, it just reminds me if I'm floating away in the midst of the battle of being a trial lawyer, becoming the little T-Rex I talk about. I can look at the carnelian egg and it brings me back, but I set the attention around it for that purpose.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes. Right.
So, and it's no different. I mean, I know like in your office.
Yes.
And you've redone a lot to make it even more your own. But I love watching you when we get there first thing in the morning when I'm with you. You get this little airy kind of fairy-like aspect to you. And this is just watching you from behind as you're walking, in, and you have a routine where you go and get your incense and you light it in a particular way. And you're gentle and you are, and when I say airy, it's like you're flowing almost. Fascinating. I've never really, I've admired it just watching you, that's sweet. But in talking about it directly this way, you are really setting an intention for the space, this giving, embracing whole.
Yeah.
For all the people that you and your team are going to help that day. And so you light your incense and you blow it out after a little bit, or you shake it out and, just wave it a little bit. And then you go set it in the particular spot. And I know that there's more that goes on, but that's typically the scene that I see when we're in that the back lobby area. You turn on the different lights that you've got and
the music.
Make sure that the music is going. And so I learned a lot of it from you.
Thanks, babe.
Setting space, not only by having things that are meaningful, but having a routine or a ritual around just how your day is going to revolve around that, and you're not interacting with the things, but you've set that up. And without those, it would just be a space.
Yeah.
And it would still be lovely, but there's just something about how the things that you've chosen intentionally and the manner in which you go about waking up the room, the office for the day, really creates magic.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's lovely to see. So that's what it's like for me when I get here. I have my routine. But I didn't learn my routine from you, but I'm sure that I mirrored, because I have my Native American flute that sits in front of the bull.
Yes.
I pick it up whenever we get here and I go toot up the whole house with my flute, setting the space. And then I do it again when we leave, saying thank you.
Yeah. So it's interesting, just thinking about the simple things that we can do to create space that supports us.
Mm-hmm.
Lighting a candle, lighting incense, having that thing that at this point in our life currently is grounding for us, having some ritual that reminds us of where we're wanting to go. And I would guess that we all have ritual. It's just, are we aware that we do? Are we
Sure.
thoughtful about it? Is it bringing from us? Is it taking from us? Those are some things that I think about. Because I think our body likes ritual, but it doesn't mean that we do it well or intentionally, thoughtfully, carefully. What are you thinking?
Did you know you look like a fairy when you get your office ready for the day?
No.
You do. You're like just floating through there. It's really sweet.
I guess some mornings I'm floating very fast too.
Well, fairies can be late too.
Favorite. Yes, they can be. But it is a nice thing to think about.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know that it's intentional. For sure. The music playing in the lobby 24 hours a day is an intention. I want that space to hold that peace when people walk in. Like, I want them to be able to feel like they can breathe when they walk in.
Sure. I mean, there's an energy piece to it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So why don't you tell us more about that since we're touching on your music?
So for me, when I think about energy and healing, often when we're struggling, our energy, and my belief, my personally and professionally, is that we have energy that's stuck, and we've talked about that. But for me, that process, whether it's, in the waiting room or when they come back in to the office space, I feel like I want the energy to be flowing everywhere. Like it's a primer for the body. Like we want things to move in this space. Gently, because I'm not a big pusher. I think our body puts up plenty of resistance. And so for me, it's about creating a space that feels safe and held as best I can, so that the body, when it is in the space, is also like, okay, I can leave this here. And some of the incense really is about setting the intention that I'm cleaning the space too.
Sure. Removing negative energy.
Removing whatever people left there.
Right.
Because we want people to leave it there, but we don't want it to
stay.
We don't want it to fill up the building of everybody's trauma, right? And so it is a very thoughtful, but in my mind, it's like moving energy, keeping it flowing through people while they're there, through the building and out the building. I'll open my window because I have the window that opens in the building. Because my office didn't have a window, but I put in a window that opened so that I could open the window, so that there was flow. So those things are all thoughtful things that I do when I'm making a change or creating something. I am trying to be as thoughtful as I can about the process of it and how I see and experience energy and healing.
Sure.
So.
What a great conversation. That was fun.
Oh, thanks. Yeah. It was fun. Mm-hmm. Just something to share. I know not big and heavy like some of our other conversations, but I hope that those listening, that it provides something to think about, to ponder, to look around your space and think about, the things that are here and, why are they here? I'll go back to why are we doing what we're doing?
Sure.
Is it filling a space? Is it something that we're holding on to? Is it something that brings us joy? does it keep us stuck? And not to make it a chore. We're really just trying to incorporate these things into our lives so that we're engaging with our life and environment differently. Yeah.
Sure. Thanks, babe.
Oh, thank you.
I love you.
I love you too. Thank you for joining us today. We are excited to explore life with you. We encourage curiosity, self-growth, and we strive to be more compassionate every day.